I just recently looked at a article from the New York Post that talked about how Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is potentially planning to announce his candidacy for president of the United States this upcoming week, maybe as soon as this upcoming Monday. I don't know for sure, and as far as I know, the paperwork hasn't been filed yet, so it's up in the air. But there is definitely some major talk for it's. There's been some major talk for the last few months in regards to Ron DeSantis potentially running against Donald Trump. And if he does, I think that this would be the worst career move he's ever made. Here's the thing: there's already been a lot of things that have gone on since Donald Trump has announced his candidacy for running for a second term for president of the United States in 2024. He's managed to do a lot of things. He's been trying to get out there to the media. He's been very much proactive in regards to certain situations. For example, East Palestine. While Joe Biden was off going to Ukraine, Donald Trump was in East Palestine trying to give them out some supplies, some food, anything in regards to helping them. And of course, as you already know, with my previous videos, Pete Buttigieg decided that as a result, he should come as well. Of course, he did effectively say that he did not want to go and just went away a few days, but obviously we know that it's Donald Trump that caused him to do that. But then there was also, as I mentioned before in my previous week, the town hall, the Trump CNN town hall. And that, I think, caused his ratings, at least his approval ratings, to skyrocket to, I think it was 90%. And that alone shows that Donald Trump, not only is he the preemptive nominee for the Republican Party for this year, 2024, it's clear that he will not be knocked out by anyone else. He is the lone figure. He is the lone leader of the Republican Party. No one else could take this crowd at this point. And even with Ron DeSantis, who, again, has not announced his candidacy, is in the distant second, behind about 30 points at most. And that alone shows little confidence in me saying that he will win the primary, much less the general election. Other problem that Ron DeSantis has: his endorsements. His endorsements, especially with the recent local elections, say in the mayoral election in Jacksonville, as well as the primary election for the gubernatorial race in Kentucky. In both of those cases, Ron DeSantis has endorsed different candidates and either has not campaigned for them or just basically left them out in the wayside. And in the case of the primary in Kentucky, his candidate Kelly Craft, not only was she not considered a good candidate, that she was out of touch, but she came in a distant third as a result, while Donald Trump's endorsed candidate won. That alone shows as much. And of course, in Jacksonville, Florida, who, by the way, its previous mayor, one was a Republican, and effectively could not run again due to term limits. The fact that both of these candidates, who were endorsed by Ron DeSantis, lost goes to show that while he is a potential nominee for the future of the Republican Party, there is no way he can effectively play the long-term game. I just don't see that at this very point. Maybe if he's asked to become vice president under Donald Trump, but at this point in time, I'm wondering if that's even going to be possible, especially with how supposedly there is some kind of conflict going on between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. I have no idea whether that's true or not, although it's looking like it's being true, and it will only solidify that once Ron DeSantis decides he's going to run for president of the United States. I hope to God that he doesn't do that. And the third issue that a lot of Republican voters have is that, well, he's been trying to gain a lot of money. As in terms of donation money from a lot of the establishment candidates. He's been talking, or not candidates, political action committees, as well as talking to a lot of establishment figures like Mitch McConnell, even Kevin McCarthy, a few of those. And this kind of turns off a lot of people because he was basically he was considered the MAGA candidate, and he was given an endorsement twice from Donald Trump, which further carried him over the finish line in both cases for the Florida governor election. Now, I'm not saying that Ron DeSantis hasn't done any good things. He definitely has. But nonetheless, the very fact that he's been doing a few different things in regards to him being a governor kind of turns people off. Because, and this is in response to what I just said with his endorsements, how he wasn't going out there and campaigning for his candidates. He decided to go to places like Iowa, New Hampshire. This is something that you would potentially do if running for president. But he also went to places like the United Kingdom. I think even France and Germany. Why would a governor do that? Again, this is something that I don't think is going to look good for Ron DeSantis. It would look like he is intentionally abandoning the state. The moment he decides that he's going to run for president of the United States in 2024, not 2028, is the moment his political career dies. And that is the moment I will lose any respect for him. I'm just saying this to a lot of people, especially to the people who are Ron DeSantis fans. I like Ron DeSantis. He does turn me off at some points, but overall I do like him. Not as much as Donald Trump, but I do think that he's a perfect mold for a future presidential election in 2028. I think that if he does decide to run, he will kill his political career. Everyone will see that everyone will think that he's potentially a fraud and that he's abandoning the state of Florida. Hell, as far as I know, even in the primary polls, if Ron DeSantis goes up against Donald Trump in his own state, Ron DeSantis will lose. I don't see him winning whatsoever. And I would not be surprised if this causes his approval ratings in the state of Florida over his governorship to just crater. Maybe still be pretty good, like in the 40s, mid-40s at least, but not in the high 60s that they used to be. I honestly don't think that Ron DeSantis should get into this game as of yet. I think he should just immediately say he's not going to do anything, he's not going to run for president, and just leave it at that. It's going to be a lot of problems. There's definitely going to be some problems with the Republican Party if he does decide to run. There will be some kind of division to some extent, but at the same time, this would be more detrimental to Ron DeSantis in the long run. I don't see him coming out on top with 2024, and if he decides to run again in 2028, he would lose all that momentum. All the Ron DeSantis supporters from the very beginning would still be there, but the MAGA supporters, the major voters within the Republican Party that you need in order to win at least the nomination, they will be long gone. They will not like you. They would go for someone like Carrie Lake or Rand Paul or someone else. Maybe even Byron Donalds if he decides to run. Which, by the way, he would definitely be a pretty good potential pick for president of the United States. I know he's just a congressman at this point in time, but nonetheless, the guy was on fire, especially when going after CNN after the Trump town hall. I mean, seriously, I could totally see him becoming president of the United States as well as people with Carrie Lake. But nonetheless, Ron DeSantis, I don't think it's a good idea for you to run. I think it's better for you to wait. Play the long game. If you truly want to become president, completely fine. But if you want to have a chance at winning, not just the nomination, but just the general election, it cannot be in 2024. My name is Noah Meehan on The Arc Truth. Please post your comments down below, subscribe to my channel, and share with your friends. Also, if you have any issues regarding my videos, such as how I speak or whatever, please post it in the comment section down below or directly message me.